Hey everyone, Sari here, and welcome back to another week of late season offense matches. It's been a while since I was able to use Zelgius and Guinivere without losing lift, so it was good to get back to them and have them sweep the week again. It's also the first time I've used them since Zelgius got his Refine. While he does lose a couple of hit points by switching to a Londite, the extra attack, defense, and res are more than worth it, and having distant counter built into his weapon actually comes in really handy. While Guinevere does usually handle all of the ranged threats, having the option to bait out someone that would usually rally, or just outright handle a physical threat that could overwhelm her, is a fantastic upside. The slaying effect, of course, is the most important part of the Refine, since combining it with Special Fighter typically guarantees a Black Luna in every combat. With his weapon and Special Fighter already covering distant counter, guard, and special acceleration, Unity becomes one of the best skills Zelgius can use. It protects his most important stats from any of the very common debuffs that defenses can throw at him, and has the same positioning requirements as Near Save, which forces any melee threats to go through a nearly unbreakable wall before attacking his allies. Quick Riposte is a really useful way for Zelgius to break through impact or wary fighter effects, or simply to secure doubles against exceptionally speedy opponents. I did manage to give Guinevere the rest of her Dragon Flowers, too, since last time I used her, so all that's left is Merges. Her weapon gives her a very powerful, unique niche with its effective damage against mages, which gives her a great matchup against most of the ranged threats and AR defenses. The post-combat healing it provides, both to herself and her allies, is an equally important effect, which allowing her to keep both herself and Zelgius in a healthy state. A lot like Zelgius, Unity for Guinevere actually matches the positioning requirements for her weapon, and since she wants to stay near Zelgius anyway, it gives her an easy way to protect her most important stats from debuffs. No follow-up lets her turn every fight into a normal speed check, but she's usually fast enough to win, while Pulse Smoke does a great job of defusing any pre-charged specials on the enemy team. Attack Defense solo lets her handle any stray physical ranged opponents, and it also gives her enough damage to punch through any really resilient greens. So now that we've gone over the team, let's get to the first match. So this is going to be a pretty basic start to the week. It's kind of fun just because this is very similar to how I've got my own defense laid out, using an Eldigan and also a Nils. Nils is actually one of those dancers who's oddly annoying every time you run into him because the start of turn spectrum debuffs can be really tricky to plan for if you're not used to having to worry about them. And chill res on Ophelia is usually a really great idea, just because it tends to help her actually get a lot of damage done with this pre-charged AoE. We've also got Roy, who's a lot rarer than his dad. Bramamond, and a bonus week Yune. This isn't a defense I'm expecting Zelgius and Guinevere to have any problems with, but I'm going to spend a few turns at the start just clearing things up and making sure that we pick these pots up so I don't have to worry about them later.
Good morning. Yes. Right, boss.
What's your plan?
The glimmer of light.
And take this out.
Like this.
I don't actually have to break that Panic Manor here. It isn't high enough level to even affect Guinevere. But, I may as well.
If you say so.
I'll keep you alive.
No, we'll wait 2 more turns so we can get these wave skills online.
I bestow my blessing.
Yes. Maybe this way.
And get everyone into the right positions.
Very well.
This flower bed here is actually something that I learned a while back is kind of counterproductive for this setup because it actually limits Roy or Elliott's movement. and means that this becomes a very safe space to stand for any supports.
Right, boss?
It will be done.
The glimmer of life. Ready! If you say so.
I'll
And
keep you
Zelgius
alive.
moves up,
We
and
must
Guinevere
end this.
can disarm this special, so, and take out Eldkin in the bargain. And from here, Nils should actually survive the turn just because he won't be able to reach the front line. But other than that, yeah, if Bremlin's not doing damage, it's not looking good for anybody else. Huh. And Zelgius doesn't even need a Black Luna to finish Roy off there. Oof. Alright. I think I will let Zelgius have this last knockout though.
Are you certain?
What's your plan?
Like this.
Good morning.
Let's see how you handle this.
And there it goes. That's a nice clean way to get back to Gwyn and Zelgius. On to the next one. This one's not quite as interesting as the last one. Just boxed-in setups tend to be a lot easier to handle, so... They do have some pretty significant threats just with this Dimitri. Even outside his bonus week, if you try to tank a legendary Dimitri with Impact, it's gonna do some damage. And of course a bonus week corner Fallen Edelgard. I'm not expecting Zelgius and Guinevere to have any problems with this at all.
Are you certain? Good morning. We must end this.
We can just
I'll keep
get
you
this
alive.
started on the first turn,
It will be done.
test a couple of
Yes.
traps, and move
Got 'em.
along.
No draw, no escape.
That chill attack from Dorothea landing on Zelgius is doing a lot of work.
One will live, one will die.
Not really anything any of them can do. Guinevere even patches up the few points of damage that Sophis was able to do to Zelgius. It's actually a little unfortunate that we're losing the chills here, since the chill defense from Dorothea would have actually done a lot for helping Zelgius tank his way through Dimitri. But it's okay.
Very well.
We can just start working on these pots.
Death's caress.
Get rid of that
Maybe
trap.
this way. The glimmer of life.
I'm not opening this up all the way. There is a way I could have gotten Peony to dance Guinevere here, and gotten Edelgard out at the same time.
Like this.
But I think Dimitri is going to do enough damage to push Zelgius out of quick riposte range for this turn. So there's no reason to take that chance. Yeah, he does a chunk.
Let's see how you handle this.
But thanks to
Yes.
Bear's heal,
Death's caress. Right, boss.
we can just take care of Fallen
We
Edelgard
must
this
end
turn
this.
instead.
Your orders.
Ready.
I bestow my blessing.
One will live, one will die.
Very nice. Alright, let's see what we get next time. This was a bit of an embarrassing match, looking back at it. There were several mistakes that I made across the course of it that ended up costing me the match in the end. They have a pretty decent setup, using Lysithea and Veronica to cover a lot of the available space to set up. Windsweep Lysithea is an interesting choice. I don't know how much threat she really has after that first hit, so even if she gets to sweep something, it's not really likely that she'll secure a knockout if she doesn't kill it in the first place. But, I took a turn to get into position and end up making my first mistake with this setup. Since the way I end up moving here to get Guinevere in position to smite her forward and test the heavy trap actually means that I don't give Zelgius an orders buff, so he can't just warp in and get into safe range of Guinevere the way I meant to. It is salvageable though, since I did realize Zelgius can beat Lysithea's windsweep check, and that means we can just reposition him forward and not have to worry too much about it. Unfortunately, this gravity trap has a second factor that also really gets in the way of handling this properly, since it slows the pirate Veronica down as well, and means we're not going to get to knock her out this turn. Looking back, it would have been a lot better to just back up, since the heavy trap would have prevented anything from following us that turn, and then just gone in the following turn. Things still go pretty well here, though. Zelgius can handle Lysithea without too many problems, and then Guinevere handles the mages. Unfortunately, having that Veronica to handle ends up being a pretty major issue. I was hoping to get her to rally Fina, and I'm still not quite sure why she didn't, since it would get her into an easy spot to handle while we pick the pots up. Instead, she decides to go and protect the ether pot on the right, and I ended up being a little impatient, I think, and tried to pick it up and end the match here, but Zelgius can't save Peony on the lava tile. So, after a bit of an embarrassing series of mistakes in that last match, this will be a much more straightforward one. It's a bit of a theme team, but there's some fun stuff in here that can catch people off guard if they're not paying attention to the sheer number of debuffs flying around. And, of course, having both Morgans in their bonus week is pretty useful, even if none of them are actually, well, only one of the entire team is actually using a Dark Blessing. It's a bit of a shame, but on the bright side, neither of their dancers has a weapon equipped, so there's no way I can actually mess this up after. I get things started.
Your orders.
Maybe
Just dance
this
Zelgius
way.
over here. I actually didn't mean to have
will
him
be
there,
done.
but it'll be okay.
What's your plan?
Got him.
It doesn't really affect much.
Yes.
Okay. Then I can use Pathfinder to get Guinevere here
If you say
and
so.
smite her forward onto the gravity trap, which is real. That's fine.
Your orders.
Zelgius can swap Dagger,
Good morning.
and then Aerobatics lets us move him forward
I'll keep you alive.
to screen her from the Morgan.
The glimmer of life.
I bestow my blessing.
And Mila can just move up here. Now, even though we're actually tanking a lot of debuffs here, Attack Res Unity does a lot of work for Guinevere just in shutting those back down. And since both of the Mage Morgans are red, they really just can't get a lot done to her. And well, Robin's using what looks a lot like an air offense build, so... No follow-up does a lot to shut down Fallen Morgan's weapon as well. And well, this dive bomb lets her swing twice at least.
One will live, one will die.
And from here, as I said, it's literally impossible for us to mess things up,
Very well.
so...
Right, boss.
Your orders.
Like this.
Maybe this way.
I bestow my blessing.
Well, that's rude.
It will be done.
Yes.
No guarding the pots this time. Stop that.
Got him.
What's your plan?
Ready.
I'll keep you alive.
And then we can clean
you
this up
certain?
and take our win. Hopefully I clean things up for next time. I'm still annoyed with myself about that last one. Ah well. On to the next one. This one's going to be a very fun little setup, and it's a bit of a step up from the matches I've gotten so far this week. They've got a +9 Kempf with a Ruse and Rally, who is also backed up by the Sigurd, who has built heavily against Lynchas. They've also got the Duo Leaf and Veronica on the front line, just to threaten as much of the map as possible. And they've got Vermund and Yune backing them up. This is a bit of an interesting setup. I did have to take a little bit to think about the best way to approach it. And while I would have liked to tank Kempf with Far Save, which would have protected Guinevere from the flash effect and let her tank her way through the rest of it, the problem is these rallies and Veronica. So I'm going to get around those.
It will be done.
By just isolating Kempf. Hold on.
Death's caress. Very well. Got him.
And making sure we start this fight after turn 1, so that this doesn't apply to anything. So from here, I'm going to move Guinevere up.
Ready.
I'm going to dance her.
The glimmer
I'm going to
of
pull
life.
Peony back.
If you say so.
Smite Gwyn.
Keep
And
you
we're going to
alive.
let Zelgius bait this leaf, actually. Which will stop him from actually using Rally, and means that we don't have to worry about him getting onto anybody we don't want him to. And since Kempf can't Rally because he's isolated, everything else should just attack into Guinevere after that. Which should give us enough time to
I
pick these
bestow my
pots up
blessing.
before we finish Kempf off and close the match out. Mm-hmm.
Say your prayers.
We also get to bait Leaf out of the range of his weapon, which is always nice. And Bram can get a little bit of damage done to Guinevere, but all it really does is give her an extra chance to heal Zelgius. Yune moves in next, and now we're in full-on healing mode. Then Sigurd goes last. That triangle adept is not doing him any favors here. And from here, picking these pots up should actually be very easy.
Very well.
I'm just going to have Guinevere grab this one.
Got him.
We'll smite Zelgius forward so that he can make sure he saves her from the scary Kempf.
Yes. Good morning.
We'll dance air up here to grab the second pot.
Like this.
And I can even just plonk Milla here to make sure that he's baited properly. That's fine.
No draw, no escape.
And down he goes. Nice clean win there. On to the next one. This is going to be a very fun match, mostly just because they've got their own maxed out Zelgius on their team. I'm not too sure about this starty stance. It can help if he gets tagged with the Bolt Tower, for example, and let him keep that guard effect up, but it doesn't work too well with the Special Fighter. We've also got a Sigurd, and this Sol who they've already given Flash to, and a Duo Peony, and +3 impact Bremond, and a +4 impact bonus week Yune. This is a very fun team. I don't think I'm going to have too much of a problem with this, just because, well, this return doesn't actually activate on the first turn, since there's nothing to heal. And as long as it doesn't activate on the first turn, it gives me time to set up and move where I want to go. Alright, that's the real trap already.
Your orders.
We'll just move down
We must end this. Death's caress.
and wait a turn. I'm going to keep this isolated just so that there's no unpredictable movement. And I'm actually not going to isolate Peony next turn because I want Bremond to move in and get danced and get himself knocked out. Very good. I am going to move Milla over here, just in case Bremond ends up moving to this tile.
Very well.
But other than that, we should be set. Guinevere's not actually going to get attacked by the flash from this tile, just because
Are you certain?
we won't be able to get in range.
The glimmer of life.
Move air here,
Ready.
dance her.
If you say
Move Dogger here and let Zelgius swap her.
Death's
And move her
caress.
down.
Withdraw your blade.
One will live, one will die.
And down he
No
goes.
draw, no escape.
Yune moves in next, but, well, it's not gonna get much done to Guinevere. And Bram should move to the defense tile and then get danced. Yep. And he can get a chunk done, but it's not enough to put Guinevere in any real danger. And Zelgius and Saul move up. So from here, this is really just mostly about making sure we deal with Saul and Peony, which will strand Zelgius and let us pick up the pots pretty easily afterwards.
Like this.
To do that, I'm going to break this,
We must end
which
this.
lets Guinevere move over here and deal with Saul. She will get tagged by the flash here, but that's not a big deal if we dance her, which will let her clear the debuff off.
Got him.
I'm going to smite Milla back into her corner,
Good morning.
dance Guinevere, and let her
Very well.
move over here. I'm not worried about this because this movement buff will wear off this turn,
I'll keep you alive.
and just in case. Oh, Peony gets baited in, and leaves Zelgius on his own. And from here, it's actually pretty easy to pick these pots up and close the match out. I'll smite air up, and she can grab this one.
Are you
I'll
certain?
move Guinevere here,
Maybe this
and dance
way.
her.
We must
She can
end
pick up
this.
this pot,
What's your
and
plan?
we'll just let Zelgius save Peony.
It will be done.
One will live, one will die.
And down he goes. That was a fun one to run into. Let's see what we get next time. This one is going to be another fun match, actually. It's got an interesting setup that hinges a lot on this Veronica, who's using both Restore and Odd Recovery. They don't really play too well together on the first turn, since the only targets she could restore already get cleared by Odd Recovery, so there's no way for that to start on the first turn, but it's a good way to try and force things after the first turn. And of course, Legendary Sigurd with his normal nonsense. We've also got this Farsafe Hector, and a Duo Sigurd, Triandra, and Bonus Week Yune. It's a neat setup. I don't think it's going to threaten Gwyn and Zelgius too much. Although I don't know everything about how this is going to play out after this first turn. I'm going to start by breaking my way up here.
Got him.
And I shouldn't have to isolate Veronica here, but I'm doing it just to be safe. She doesn't cleanse herself.
Death's caress. We must end
Then
this.
Gwyn can move up here, and she'll be safe here, just because Sigurd's range is the same as what this Sigurd's range will be on this side for the next turn.
Like this.
Then we'll reposition Peony, who
Ready.
can dance Zelgius
Your
forward.
orders.
Isolating this column is actually pretty important for this next turn. I want to avoid Hector getting his debuffs cleared, and I'd also like to force this Seeker to attack. So from here, I'm going to actually not have Dagger buff up Zelgius or Guinevere. We're going to have Zelgius move up here and break this cake. Guinevere can move up and break this pot.
Maybe
And then
this
Peony
way.
can dancer forward
Very well.
to choke this point. I'm opening these spots up to make sure that there's room for these units to attack and they don't just get bottlenecked.
It will be done.
And then we can
If you
smite
say
Milla
so.
up here so that she can keep the front line buffed. So I'm not sure if there's going to be a rally or if the restores are just going to happen instead. Looks like both. So we won't get to knock out the legendary secret this turn, but we should be able to knock everyone else out. Oh, or the Veronica or Triandra, but that's okay. We do still need to pick a pot up. And those debuffs from Triandra are
Let's see how you handle
actually
this.
helping Zelgius. So from here, things are a little bit tricky. I'd like to speed things up and not just sort of plant in place here, because there would be a whole lot of rally and dance and restore nonsense going on, and I'd rather just move things forward. So instead, I'm going to have Milla break this, which will enable Guinevere's Unity,
Very well.
and make it much easier for her to dispatch Yune. And then we can dance Guinevere. And that lets her move forward and take out Veronica. And then we finish things off by having Zelgius swap Peony to safety, which lets him protect both Guinevere and Milla from the scary Seeker.
Yes. Right, boss.
Seeker's probably still going to rally here, yeah. And then, oh, Triandra's actually attacking. Oh, she has just enough to do some damage to her. Not that the damage is going to stick, but... And now we get to tell Sigurd to stop being a coward and actually attack Zelgius.
I'll keep you alive.
Maybe this way.
I mean, to be fair, he doesn't even get to use his special here, so...
Say your prayers.
It got pulse smoked away on that first round. So, that was pretty clear. Or, clean, rather. On to the next one. This is going to be a kind of slower way to go into the end of the week than the last couple of matches. Not that they've got low threat on their team, it's just that boxing in their team with this wall in the front really stops the Reinhardt and Veronica from threatening the map effectively. They are running triple mythics, which gives all three of these cabs a pretty significant stat boost, and the wind sweeps with this is a nice touch. But I'm not really expecting to have too many problems with this. Let's see, air needs to be here. Yep. Alright. I'm going to take one turn to set up. I'd like to break this tactic room, just to make sure that we don't have to worry about it getting glued. Oops, hold on. Right, Zelgius here first, and here. And then I'm going to move Mela here and have Air flip her into position to isolate Triandra next turn. From here, I'm going to smite Zelgius up. He can break this statue. We can flip Guinevere up here and test the heavy trap, which is real. Okay. I'm also going to try to bait Veronica over into this corner instead of attacking Guinevere. I'm not expecting it to work, but if it does, it might make things easier to pick the pots up afterwards. Oh, she is going to. How polite. This also means that we don't have to worry about any buffs or debuffs. Not that the debuffs would really help them with this fight, but I also deliberately got Guinevere panicked here, since it helps a lot with the lulls from Reinhardt and Bramwind, because it actually ends up protecting her visible buffs from those cancels, thanks to Unity.
Say your prayers.
And altogether, it just means that Gwyn and Zelgius kind of don't care too much about any of the side of the map. Yep. Nice and clean. And then Eliwood will chase over here. Oh, no, he pulled Veronica back. So, while I was hoping Veronica would get stuck here, it's not that big of a deal, since we should be able to keep her attacking air for one more turn.
Are you certain?
Since we found the gravity trap last turn, we can just step forward and break this. And Zelgius can move over here. Oops, not quite what I meant to do there. That's okay.
Good morning.
We'll just dance Zelgius. And then keep everyone in place. The lunge is not going to be a concern, since save will cancel it out, and I'm pretty sure Zelgius is going to knock this Eliwood out in one round anyway. Oh no, not quite. I guess we did need that smite. Oh well. Oh. So from here, Veronica's not actually going to be able to hit anything relevant. Even if I move Zelgius up into her range, I'm not really worried about her attacking him.
Are you certain?
So I'm just going to have Guinevere pick this pot up.
Your orders.
We'll have Zelgius move up, dance him, and
What's your plan?
finish off Eliwood.
Say your prayers.
Can move Dogger up this way, and we'll just keep everyone else where they are. No, and Veronica's staying put. Very considerate. Alright, and from here we can just pick up the second pot.
Your orders.
And then I can just get Zelgius up here, which means we can smite Peony up. She can dance Guinevere, and Guinevere can close out the match. Not bad. Alright, on to the next one. So this one is going to be a rematch with, well, at least at this point in time, the only match I've lost this week. So it'll be pretty satisfying to clear this. It's actually been quite a while since I've seen a Quickened Pulse Moonbow Reinhardt. This one's maxed out, which is fun. And I've also got this plus 10 ARD skill Bramamond, who's actually really spooky. I like this ARD skill a lot. Even though Impact's really good for him, the ARD skill is actually really flexible and makes it a lot harder to attack into him safely. They've also got this Kempf, who is headlining their team, along with an Eldigan, and a Summer Byleth, and a Triandra. This one's going to be a bit interesting to work around. I think I've figured out a good approach to it. I'm not going to start this on the first turn. I do need a minute to get in position and break some of these pots.
It will be done.
Ready. Got him.
I'll keep you alive.
The glimmer of life.
But we should be able to start this on the second turn.
I bestow my
I'll
blessing.
get Milla over here.
Good morning.
Dance her.
Death's
Air
caress.
can flip Guinevere forward.
Like this.
Milla can flip Air back.
Your orders.
We can have Zelgius break this pot.
If you
This
say
might
so.
end position.
Very well.
And then we'll just have Guinevere eliminate Byleth. This part's important because we can deal with the rally on Kempf to force him to attack, but the second rally on Byleth would potentially cause some issues. So by taking her out of the picture, we should be able to force the rest of the team to attack this turn. Yep. Eldigan, I think, is the only one who actually
Let's see how
survives.
you handle this.
So even though he doesn't do damage, he still attacks first.
Let's see how you handle this.
And that just means that once Kempf actually applies that flash effect, it's a little too late. And Zelgius also stops it from hitting Guinevere, so he doesn't have any problems clearing out the mages. Well, Triandra actually did damage. Guess I didn't have to worry about her dancing in the first place. That's okay. And poor Reinhardt. And from here, we're just going to let Zelgius finish the match.
Yes.
It will be done.
Maybe this way. Right, boss.
What's your plan?
Oh,
Ready.
that wasn't real. That's fine. Goodbye, Eldigan.
Say your prayers.
That was a nice way to end the week. Overall, this was a pretty good week. There was one kind of embarrassing slip-up, but outside of that, it's been a lot of fun to get to use Guinevere and Zelgius again. Sadly, we didn't quite hit rank 1 again, but maybe next time. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the video, good luck with your own matches, and I'll see you next time.